welcome to the Creative Entrepreneur Live Show.
Woohoo.
That's what we call it, right? So today we are going, I should probably say I'm Haley Ram, and
I am Reagan Ram.
We're,
no relation at all. It's just a coincidence.
No, it's just coincidence. That's why we decided to do this thing, because we thought, well, we have the same last name, so might as well, right? So today we're going to be talking about we'll be diving kind of into the anatomy of a great main character. So what makes a great main character? But before we do, we have
the book of the week. What is it? Wisdom music is playing. It is 50 First Pages by Jeff Gerke. So this is a really awesome book. I've read it a couple of times because it's that good. And if you want to pick it up, you can go to kingdompen.org/50 First Pages. And Jeff Gerke is really awesome. I've had the privilege, actually both of us have, of being able to see him in person and talk to him.
He's a really good speaker.
Why did you change the banner?
I did? Oh, oops.
Yeah, we both been able to talk to him in person, meet him in person, and learn from him. And this book is really fantastic. It really breaks down what you need to have, all the different elements you need to have in the first 50 pages so that your reader actually reads your book all the way through, because that's the trickiest part, is actually getting someone to read through those 50 first pages. And there's a lot of stuff I learned in there that you don't really pick up on. So it's not just the basic everyday tips that you get. There's some really good advanced stuff in there. So highly recommend it. If you're looking to write a novel, definitely pick up a copy of this book. And we'd really appreciate it if you used our link, which is kingdompen.org/50 First Pages. All right.
So now we're going to move on to tip of the week. This is it could be related to creativity, because, you probably, try out lots of different subscriptions, testing products, testing different things. And I don't know about you, but I tend to forget that I had a free trial I had signed up for.
Common thing that happens is going through the bills and I'm like, Haley, did you pay for and such?
Like, what? No.
Sometimes it's the same thing.
Yeah, I thought I'd canceled it, or I thought I had remembered
getting different trials at different times.
Yeah. So create a reminder either on your phone.
This is just a life tip.
This is a life tip. This is a life hack. So create a reminder on your phone or something that will, or put it on the calendar. If you have a written calendar or a planner, write it down somewhere that if you go to that day, open it up, your planner, or look at your phone, it's going to give you a reminder. Oh, hey, I should go cancel that, but do it the day before the free trial ends. And
so I shouldn't cancel it the day after the trial ends?
Yeah, no. Yeah, sometimes it works. Sometimes you might get a partial refund, but most of the time, no, because, I've asked. I've had lots of different experiences with free trials ending. Yeah, Reagan knows.
And you should set 2 reminders on your phone.
2 reminders.
That's the
instead of 1, just set 2.
Super hack, because I know you set reminders on your phone, or so you claim, and yet somehow the charges still appear.
So I think I saw something like there's got to be a $1 billion industry in just the free trials ending and people forgetting about it. So that's my tip of the week.
That's a good tip.
It is a good tip. Like I said, it may not be, technically creative related, but I don't know about you, but I try out lots of different products and get free trials for lots of different things. So, okay, moving on. All right. So we will be having a Q&A session at the end. So if you have any questions that you would like to have answered live along the way, go ahead and comment those, and then we will get to them at during the Q&A session.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and dive into what makes a character great. So there are...
First off, we should probably back up and say, why do you need to have great characters? Can't you just have a great plot and a cool world? Because that's what I write. That's what I like to do.
This is a good point. This is a good point. Well, you can, and there are books that have, they've had cool story worlds. Hold on. There are books out there. There are books that are out there that have really great story worlds.
There's a lot of bad books out there.
And yet, I'm saying you can be published with a bad book.
Oh yeah.
You can be published.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if you want to create a huge reader fan base, and especially if you have a series and you want to motivate people to keep reading the next book and all of the books in your series, then you have to have a dynamic main character. And there's I don't know, would you say it's a cookie cutter approach? It's kind of not necessarily a cookie cutter approach, but there's like 4 base qualities that every main character, like the main character, I'm not talking about other characters, I'm just talking about the main character needs.
So yeah, so you need to have a
kind of like a formula.
Right, the characters are what keep people sticking around and reading through to your books. And so what we've learned and discovered is that there's basically four different things that make an interesting and a great main character that people want to keep following. And you want to make sure that your main character has at least 2 of them.
Yes, you do want to make sure they have. So there are 4 different types of characters. There's the primary characters, there's the secondary, the functional, and what's called the tertiary characters, basically the faceless crowd. We're not going to focus on the other 3. I just wanted to, as the title suggests, the main character. So, base quality 1 is they are proactive versus reactive. And what this means is it's rather than the plot happening, they're making the plot happen. They're making the story happen. We don't necessarily read books, characters that have every like us, because that's boring. That's not why we read books. We read books
the most
to
interesting
be inspired.
The most interesting people in real life are the ones that are proactive.
Yes, exactly. So taking charge, making things happen, not just like, oh, opportunity knocked on my door, I guess I'll answer. No, they go out and they make the opportunity. They make the change. They travel the road to Mordor and they make that decision to throw the ring in.
Even if you think about all the biblical, heroes, all the people that we point to as good examples in the Bible, they're all proactive. Sure, like God reaches out to them first, and they're instruments of God, but they still have to do the action, whether it's Moses or Joshua, right? They have to go and they have to walk around Jericho. So that's why that's appealing to us is proactive characters, because we know deep down that that's what is an attractive person, period. Someone that's not just letting life happen, but being intentional and happening to life instead.
Yes. Exactly.
And, that's probably a big reason why everyone hates the Phantom Menace, which really isn't, the Phantom Menace is probably a good example. Even though, if you look at all the elements, it's a cool world. There's a lot of cool things going on in that story. Subtract Jar Jar Binks. But the problem is, Anakin Skywalker, everything's just happening to him. He's not very proactive. He even accidentally shuts down the droid mothership, basically. So I think that's why it fell flat with a lot of people, is it's just there's no agency really. It's all just being reactive. So you want to make sure that your main character is not reactive but proactive.
Yes. All right, so base quality number 2 is they are livable or redeemable. And so what we mean by livable is there's something about them that makes them worthy to follow. They're people of integrity, or they have some like really great quality of them. They, as the story progresses, that quality it continues to grow. And see, I lost track of my train of thought. Where am I going with this?
So usually you'll hear people say that you need a character that's likable, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the typical term. You need a likable character.
But if you think about it, there's a lot of characters that you probably enjoy, main characters that you probably wouldn't want to have them over to your house. You probably wouldn't really want
or you could live with them on a daily basis.
Necessarily be friends with them, but yeah, there have to be something
like Katniss Everdeen.
There's something, she's a good example. But so but they have to be at least, you have to be at least able to live through what they put out, so they're at least livable, or there's something redeemable about them that makes them admirable.
Yes, so livable or redeemable. And I'm not going into super detail. I could be, but I'm not going to for the sake of time. All right, so base quality number 3 is there's something about them stands out. There's, again, going back to why we read books, we don't read books just about an average person. We read books about exceptional, or at least, most of the time. Sometimes there's average people who along the way become exceptional people in the books. But most of the time there's like one quality about them that's like overemphasized. So for example, say you're walking down the street and you see 2 people fighting. Maybe they're like fist fighting, and an average person would either cross the street and they would shy away from that. They would probably like make a comment as they, have passed by, but they wouldn't actually engage. So what, an exceptional person would step in and diffuse the situation, be willing to stand in the middle of that argument and help people out.
Like take risks. That maybe
taking risks.
To do.
Yes. Taking risks when people aren't willing to do that. So you just give them say they're caring about people. You make them very caring about people. They're staunchly, they'll stand up to a bully. They'll always stand up to a bully. That's something,
Strong values.
Strong values. Yes. They have very strong values. And this is what, I think this also goes into what makes a likable character. Because likability is not one of my base qualities, actually. But these 4 qualities make them likable. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. This also makes me think of the hobbits in Lord of the Rings, right? You would say, well, their whole point is that there is nothing about them that stands out, right? Frodo and Sam, right? Mm-hmm. But actually, that's what stands out about them, is that they're able to endure the burden of the ring, whereas everyone else succumbs to its power. It overwhelms them. It takes them over, and it, fills them with, greed and the just overwhelming desire to control and have power and all that. And so that's what the hobbits can resist. That's what's unique about and stands out about Frodo. It definitely takes its toll on him, but he's the only one that can actually take it to Mordor. So even he's technically
kind of average. Yeah, right. He thinks he's average, but
so you can definitely have average characters and average, normal people, but then there's some trait that stands out about them.
Yeah, again, it comes back to they're proactive and they make the decision to take action versus just reacting to everything. So give your character something to stand out about. All right. So base quality number 4 is conflicting characteristics.
This is a really good one.
This is probably one of my favorites, because honestly, we as humans have conflicting characteristics, and that's what makes a character really
walking-
relatable.
Walking contradictions.
We are walking contradictions because there are moments when even we're like, well, I know I should do this, but I don't because I'm, fill in the blank or whatever. I actually forgot about my question I was going to have people answer. I don't know if it's too late to go back. Probably is. Oh, well, I got another question for people to answer.
What is your question?
It's kind of buried in my notes.
Yeah, these notes are a little hard to read.
Yeah, it's under the here. I made it separate. It was under the livable or redeemable.
Okay.
That's what it was.
Well, that's what you get when you do a live show. Get authentic.
Yeah,
get real.
People,
get gritty.
People forgetting things. Plus,
we might swear, because that's how you know when you're really authentic, right? If you swear.
What the bloop? Yeah, that's like the epitome of
inauthentic my whole life.
Okay. Anyway, circling back. So, what do I mean by conflicting characteristics? So, I'm going to give you an example. Jack Sparrow from Pirates of the Caribbean. This is a really good one. So, he is a genius, yet he is also a buffoon. And he's selfish, but he's also noble. So, he has 4 conflicting characteristic traits, and you don't always have to have 4. You at least 3 or 4.
You don't have to have 4, but you have to have at least 4.
No, I said at least 3.
Okay. Or 4.
So at least 3, but sometimes 4.
Okay.
So some of the best scenes happen in that movie when all 4 of those characteristics collide. All of them come together in a scene, and you see that when in the opening scene when he's trying to break free, he's getting ready to be hung and everything. And so he's kind of acting like a lunatic, but he's also, he happens to be a genius about his stupidity. And then there's also a situation, I can't remember exactly what it is, but there's a situation that happens and he steps in and does the noble thing to correct whatever was going on before he escapes. If I'm remembering this correctly.
Yeah, his whole spiel during basically the climax where he's like, the dishonest people, you can trust them because you can always trust them to be dishonest. But it's the honest ones you have to watch out for because you never know when they're going to do something incredibly stupid. And so that's where you think he's betraying them, but then he does something noble and he's actually helping them.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. He's a really great character. And another example of this is a character from our book series, The Liminal Realm. In our first book, Bleed, we have Taurus. So he likes to help people, but he doesn't like most people. So those are 2 things. So I haven't like narrowed down like
do you ever find yourself, that's a really relatable one.
Like,
don't you ever feel like you just want to help people, but then you realize you just don't like anybody. You don't like people in general. So it's like it's a tough situation.
Okay, so that's one. So then he wants to be the hero he is in his video game persona, but he doesn't always have enough courage to follow through in real life. And he's also, noble or desires and aspires to be noble, but he's also selfish. And there is a scene in our book where you see this. He's decided to be the knight in shining armor for the girl he loves and decides to fight for her and to rescue her from a terrible situation. But he also has selfish reasons for this. He's trying to leave the planet because his life is at risk too, and he's going to die unless he leaves the planet. So there's this like really good scene where all these characteristics come into play. Like he doesn't like people, but he likes this one. He's in love with this one person. And, he wants to be the hero, but he doesn't know if he has the courage, and he normally doesn't. But in this instance, he's got enough motive because he's driven by his love for Vel and his desire to save his own skin. So that's another example. So just Yeah, so build these into the framework of your character, and as these moments happen throughout the story, let it grow and let it move the story organically. And you'll find that once you discover those conflicting characteristics, you can easily spot moments along and well, let me backtrack. Once you know those characteristics and then look back at your outline, you'll be able to easily spot where there's good not examples, what's the word I'm looking for, opportunities for that to play out, and that's fun. That's always, and the character typically kind of tries to
right and kind of building
take on a life
that
on its own.
Right, this kind of goes back to having something that stands out about them or having strong values. Is maybe they have a trait that conflicts with that strong value, and then that's where that can kind of come to a conclusion in the climax of your story, where as long as it's not a tragedy, that the good trait that wins out over the bad trait, and by it winning out, that enables him to overcome the villain and achieve the story goal. So they're all kind of related.
That's a good point. They are very related. So, like I said, you need to have at least 3 to 4 conflicting traits, and they shouldn't fit together. In fact, the more opposite and odd they are, the better.
That's why they're conflicting.
Exactly. So, think of your favorite character and then comment below a couple of conflicting traits that they have. So that would be fun. Or just do this exercise on your own. Think of your favorite character and try to spot their conflicting traits. That's a good exercise to do anyway for any character, because it'll help you understand how to create your own character a little bit better. All right, so that's all I had.
Awesome.
You have anything to add to that?
It does.
Anything
Perfect conclusion.
Points? Any other points?
I got nothing else to add to that.
All right.
Guess we'll move on to the Q&A section then. So if you have any questions, post them below now.
And if you're watching the replay, go ahead and post your comment or your questions, because we'll answer them too. So, yeah, a lot of this information I got from R.E. Vance. He's really good information on characters and stories and fiction and pretty much everything. And yeah, it's really good thoughts. Because it's like some of this stuff I already knew. I already knew some of this stuff. I mean, like, I'm pretty good at creating characters. But it was just actually having the specifics is also good.
Yeah, breaking it down.
Yeah, breaking it down and everything.
Well, it looks like we have 2 people watching live, so they're still here with us. So if you have a question, post it below. Otherwise,
or if there's anything you disagreed with.
Yeah, we'll have to wrap this up.
Yep. Yeah, that's the thing. You're very plot and world, you're really great at that.
Man, my characters tend to be weaker. So.
I'm good at characters, so that's why we make a great team.
Hopefully, right?
We'll see. Yeah, we're in the editing. We're in the editing process
really
of our book
yet until we've published our book, and the readers can tell us if it's good or not.
We need feedback. So yeah, we're trying to edit our book in a month, so we have until March 30th or 31st.
30th.
So we have until the 30th to edit and apply those edits, self-editing to our book, which I've never done. So I've never successfully done. So if any of you have successfully edited a book,
we'll also be needing some beta readers. So if you like sci-fi / dystopian and you want to be a beta reader, just comment that below as well, and we may reach out if we need some more beta readers.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's going to wrap it up.
Yep.
So thanks for attending, and be sure to go to kingdompen.org to grab our free becoming a guide on becoming an unstoppable writer. This is going to help you put the foundation in place for becoming a great writer that forms a daily writing habit. All right, so grab that. Otherwise, we'll see you in a future video, and we'll see you next week during our next live video.
All right. Bye.
Bye.